What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Promethean Tides Midweek show. I am General, and as always, I am joined by Breaker. What is going on, Breaker?
Come on, man. America is being corrupted by corn pop, and your only hope is to take the vaccine now, so you can join my army, and you can become one with good old Uncle Durgle.
Yeah, so actually, this image that you guys see is it's what the AI thought Nurgle might look like, and I just thought it was so cool because I think it is actually a decent representation of Nurgle, and I just think it's neato. But this so far this week, we've had actually some pretty interesting news stories come out. Not sure how many we will get through this evening. Any that we don't get through, we'll just cover on the larger Saturday show. So, this is it's a midweek show. It's not as long, maybe not quite as serious. Yeah. But it's fun. So there it is. And also, hey, if you like what we're doing here, remember to like and subscribe. It helps us out immensely. And with that, let's just get into the first news item. So, here we have. Okay. So this is Biden's cancer moonshot. Cool. So this is in reference to, I guess, Kennedy's speech about doing the moonshot, where, they actually got to the moon, which was cool. That was quite a moonshot because they hit it. They hit the moon dead on. They landed on it. It was neat. Now, when it comes to Biden's cancer moonshot, I'm not really sure if it's going to end up working out. Now, we heard a little bit about this when we covered Biden's speech from a couple weeks ago. That was the one where he had like the blood red walls behind him, telling everyone that we need to unite in order to take out, I guess, the threat of half of the fucking voter base of America. Made no goddamn sense.
Republicans represent an existential threat to, the thing.
That's right. And all Americans have to unite against the other Americans, but we have to unite. We have to be united in our division. Brilliant speech. One that will be just heralded into the future centuries. It's going to go down like fucking the Gettysburg Address, right? Brilliant fucking speech. Anyway, so apparently Biden, he's really pushing for this cancer moonshot thing. And I guess that we can go. I also have his speech on it, so we can go over the speech. But so basically, Biden is saying that the cancer can be eradicated. I would like to eradicate the cancer that is the Biden administration personally, but he wants to eradicate cancer itself. Basically, he wants to cut the U.S. death toll from cancer in general in half over the next 25 years. So during his speech from a couple weeks ago, he said, "And we're gonna cure cancer, man." And okay, well, they're not going to cure it, but they're going to reduce the death toll by half. Okay, all right. That is a much more reasonable statement, I suppose. But two things here, right? Number one, I'm not sure how much of an impact Biden is going to have on this period, right? We've seen that, generally speaking, overall, due to medical technology, the death rates of cancer have kind of tended to fall. Of course, as we have increased the longevity of people and made it so that they're not dying from, say, a bunch of infectious diseases, that means that they live longer, and that means that they're more susceptible to cancer. So actually, technically speaking, the rate of cancer, I believe, has kind of gone up, but that's because we're extending people's lifespans so much. And, well, if all of the other diseases don't kill you, the final boss is cancer, and it ends up killing everyone. So, I mean, yeah, I guess we'll have to see how this goes. But, yeah, so, anyway, thus far, what do you think about all this, Breaker?
I mean, I don't pay that much attention to politics anymore, but this fucking "we're gonna cure cancer" thing seems to have just come out of nowhere within the past couple weeks. I mean, is this something that he was talking about before? Did he campaign on this and mention cancer in any way? Is this something that suddenly happened one day with no buildup whatsoever?
No, I think that during his campaign, he actually did say, "We're going to cure cancer." And I remember this happening because I was thinking to myself, ha ha ha, that's bullshit. And I guess that he's finally getting around to maybe starting up this program. So I guess this actually is kind of following along with one of his campaign things. I don't know if it was a promise, but a thing. So I can't hate him that much for it. But I don't know how the man is gonna be doing this. I mean, the United States is already investing a shit ton of money into cancer research. So if you look at the NIH, so if you look at the NIH, the National Institutes of Health, they have an incredibly well-funded subsector of the NIH called the NCI, the National Cancer Institute, and I believe that out of all of the divisions of the NIH, the NCI is actually the best funded, and also gets its funding directly from Congress. So, whereas like the other departments, like every other department, like fucking the NCATs or whatever, they get their funding through the NIH, which gets its funding through Congress. But the NCI is like, it's special within the NIH. It gets its funding directly from Congress, and they get a shit ton of money. And in fact, I think that the salaries of the people that work at the NCI are overall greater than the people that work at all of the other branches of the NIH. So, anyway, point being, we already fund a shit ton of cancer research. So, I mean, maybe more money will help, but I mean, I guess we will listen to what Joe Biden's plan is, and we will see.
Come on, man, America.
So it says here, Biden on Monday also signed an executive order for a biotechnology initiative that the White House hopes will make the U.S. less dependent on foreign countries for the tools and raw materials needed for medical progress. Biden said, it's not enough to invent technology that saves lives, Biden said. We need to manufacture, advanced biotechnologies here in the United States. Today's actions are going to ensure that America leads the world in biotechnology and manufacturing, creating
Come on, man, you know the
jobs
thing.
and strengthening the supply chain. So, all right. overall, I'm gonna be honest. I don't hate everything about this. I think that perhaps some of this is it's going to end up being fruitless. It's going to be a futile effort, perhaps. But I'm not inherently against this. I think that it is good to fund cancer research. Makes sense. And what
I think this actually is? I think this is a front to microchip your children.
Yeah, it very well may be. But and he wants to, I guess, spur on advancement in American biotechnology. I suppose that
Come on. I mean, think about it, man. If you have like a biotech chip in your body that checks your blood sugar and basic blood chemistry on a daily, maybe even hourly basis and uploads that information into a database, I mean, technically that would. But if you think about it at the same time with the medical and scientific ethics, that's something that only the government could get away with.
So, I mean, yeah, who knows? I mean, wouldn't it be nice to just biochip everyone? Then the government can know where you are at all times. But and this is from the Washington Post, by the way. They say the Moonshot effort, which is headed by Danielle Carnival, has been hampered by a lack of staff, resources, and people in key positions at government health agencies, according to several cancer advocates and experts who are familiar with the situation and spoke on the condition of anonymity. Anonymous sources, bro. Gotta love them. I'll tell you what, I want to just start making up my own anonymous sources. Like, hey, I have an anonymous source that said that he saw Biden fucking a dog.
We can do.
Don't ask me who the anonymous source was. They're anonymous. That's what they said. It's them saying it, not me.
Okay, this is really easy. All you do is go on the politics server at Discord, and you just mute your microphone and listen to a random room for an hour, and then just like write down or take mental notes of some of the things said, and then say sources say, and you're technically not lying.
That's right. Yeah, they're just anonymous sources, bro. Yeah, I mean, was it like a crazy homeless guy that lives next to my building? I mean, maybe. Could be.
Warrior 123 on Discord said that we're gonna cure cancer by the end of the decade. Sources say.
I just go onto 4chan's poll board, and I'm like, well, according to anonymous sources, actually, the vaccines
those
are
anonymous sources are second to none.
Yeah, they're the best. Yeah, according to them, the vaccine is literally attempting to mind control you. Okay, so
I don't even know. Can we say that on YouTube anymore? I don't know what the standard is anymore.
I think they've lifted some of the their issues with saying things about the vaccine. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't fucking trust YouTube. They could just be like, "Hey, we found that you violated the community guidelines." Well, why exactly? It's like, fuck you.
Well, okay, so our last video got like 200 views, which is pretty good, right? And when this video gets 5 views, we'll know that YouTube wasn't happy with what we said. It's very simple.
Susan Wojcicki herself is like, I heard you say a conspiracy theory about the vaccine.
So in a post in May, Serena Niote, director of public affairs at American Society for Biochemistry and Molecular Biology, warned there will be no medical breakthroughs or revolutionary discoveries without sustained investments in basic scientific research. We urge policymakers to prioritize, not plunder, funding for NIH. So that I agree with, right? So I imagine that many people may not know what basic scientific research is. It doesn't mean like, it's just basic, man. Basic scientific research it's literally like it is the base of how you then go on to make further advancements, right? So it's funny that you say that because I thought it was an inviolably holy book handed down to the Reddit moderators from Neil deGrasse Tyson himself that makes their proclamations of law infallible. Right, yeah, it's like the 10 commandments of the scientific method, exactly. Yeah.
I love science. Time for more science.
So, basic scientific research, it means like the base. So, and then after basic, you get translational, and then after translational, you get clinical, right? So, the idea is that basic is where, let's say that you're trying to cure cancer. Basic is where you're going to be looking at specific genes, specific protein interactions, maybe specific RNA interactions. You might be looking at, I mean, obviously a lot of oncogenes, but also what's the name of it? The epigenetics of certain things. So
the thing.
Right, yeah, I'm also stupid and dumb, but the epigenetics of the thing, you'll be looking, so like you can be looking at like silencing of certain genes, or the methylization of certain genes. There's a lot of genetic regulators that exist within a cell, so it's not just about protein to protein interactions. And all of these various combined factors can be involved in something such as cancer. And so within basic research, you're going to be looking at that on like a cellular level. Perhaps you might be looking at it if you're trying to like build it a little bit more. Maybe you're looking at like organoids or something. Potentially some shit with mice. But that's basic research, right? And then after you get something that seems to be relatively promising in basic research, then you move on to translational research, right? This is where you're trying to take the basic idea that was discovered that seems to work in like a cell or a cluster of cells, and then you try to make it work, let's say on the organismal level, or you try to really just depending on what you're looking at, you're really just trying to build upon that, make it more robust, refine it a bit, and then eventually you get to the clinical level, which is where you actually start doing testing on, let's say, you have what you think is like a pretty sound therapeutic, and now you start testing it directly on the rats, on the mice, and then eventually humans. So that's basically that is the chain of science by which the industry allows developments to be made. And so what this person is saying is that you need to have sustained investments in basic scientific research. That is actually incredibly important. I've seen some people that, for whatever reason, they're like, oh, we need to increase funding to fucking translational science. And it's like, well, okay, you can, but ultimately the bedrock, the way that you actually get new discoveries, is by making sure that basic scientific research is well funded. Honestly, there's already enough economic incentives for a lot of translational and clinical research to occur, because by that point there's probably some fucking pharmaceutical corporation that is now interested and will fund the research. So when it comes to government funding of scientific research, I think that it makes probably the most sense for it to mostly be concerned with basic research. That is my opinion. This has nothing to do with Joe Biden's moonshot. I just wanted to get that out there.
And science.
This is the reality of the modern day scientific industry, especially when it comes to let's say cancer research, right? So that's how it works. But I thought that I haven't listened to the speech, Breaker. I don't believe that you've listened to the speech either. So we can actually just listen to President Biden's speech. Excuse me. President Biden's speech on his cancer moonshot program, and we can just see what's going to be happening.
Yeah.
So here we go. Let's go, Brandon.
Thank you, Madam Ambassador.
America.
Thank you. Madam Ambassador Caroline, thank you for that introduction.
Realistically, the only reason why it is that Biden wants to do this cancer moonshot is because he knows that he probably has cancer, and he wants to get rid of it. This is actually this is entirely for the benefit of Joe Biden. He wants to save his own life.
Well, even if that were true, it would still be technically a good overall if it actually works, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, right, the goal is cutting cancer deaths in half over the next 25 years. So, given the fact that Joe Biden has about maybe 2.5 years left in him, this actually won't be benefiting him. So, this could actually be an altruistic move on the part of the president. I'm not going to shit on this until I see something worthy of shitting on. So far, I'm actually totally fine with just increased funding for cancer research for the most part.
I have a feeling that we're going to see something very soon worth shitting on. It is Brandon we're talking about, so...
That's true. I'm just saying, I'm going into this with optimism and an open mind. That is my attitude going in. So,
here we go.
In friendship. I was talking earlier about how your family had a very difficult time in my life when I first got to the Senate as a 29-year-old kid before I was sworn in, where I lost my wife and my daughter and my 2 boys were so badly injured when struck by the tractor trailer. And your family was there for me. No, I really mean it. Your family was there for me. You may remember some of it, and I'll never forget it. They got me and my boys through an awful lot.
Okay, all right. Tractor trailers.
I don't even know if this is true because he has a history of like appropriating other people's speeches and lying. I mean, if this is just like a fucking lie, this is like a fucking whopper. But I don't know. This might be true. I don't know how exaggerated or true this is.
No, I think he was in some sort of accident, like shit ton of years ago.
Okay, I'll take your word for it, but it is Brandon, so I mean, I can't be sure anymore. Now you know why I don't follow politics, because it's just white noise.
Right. Of course, tractor trailers usually don't have that much to do with cancer, but okay, all right.
I'm truly honored to be with you all and your incredible family. And Jack, I believe your generation is the best educated, most talented generation in our history. And that's the reason I'm so optimistic about the future, and that's not hyperbole. I mean it. Chital, thank you for sharing your powerful story. And thank you, Mayor Wu, for the passport in this great city. And thank you to Health and...
Woo, politician talk.
Services Secretary Becerra and Boston's own Madi.
I'm sure that we'll get into the actual substance at some point. So far, he's just...
Hello, Boston. Boston is a great city. Your baseball team finally won after 100 years. Perseverance.
You know what? This is a little bit like the fucking Emmys. You know, it's like, dude, just fucking get up on stage and make your points, and then get off. I don't need the fucking preamble. You know, actually. Maybe we can go over a bit of the Emmys on Saturday. That might be fun. But all right.
Marty Walsh, Marty. And thank you to the members of the Massachusetts delegation from the House, Representatives Presley, Lynch, Keating, and Jake, I should say.
I wasn't even exaggerating. He's just like, woo, Boston.
Hey, thanks, everyone.
Daughters are great kids.
I'd like to thank...
I want to thank all of you.
Oh, he knows about those kids. Those are great kids. He smelled them all.
Don't jump from up there, okay?
Oh, don't jump!
Don't jump. There it is.
All the leaders of science and medicine for being here today. This is a powerful place for reflection and...
Wait. I just want to go back.
Jump!
From up there, okay? Jake, I should say, Auchincloss, and Laurie, thank you as well for being here. You have beautiful daughters. They're great kids. And I want to thank all of you, the cancer patients, survivors, caregivers, and don't jump from up there, okay?
The cancer patients and survivors, please don't jump.
I know you've been through a lot of chemotherapy, and you probably feel like your blood is made out of molten lava right now, so you might feel like a desire to harm yourself, but please do not do that. America.
I mean, look, like it is good advice, against self-harm. So it's a positive message that Joe Biden is sending. Please don't jump, but it just hardly seems like the opportune time. Like, hey, I know you got the cancer, but just please don't jump. Like, was there someone on the edge of the railing, like trying?
I
to
know
jump?
that you're so sick that you feel like you want to die inside, but please don't. It's like, you'd make a mess all over the carpet. My son would have to come out and clean it up. Nobody wants to see that. America.
Please don't jump. Jesus Christ, that's a little bit dark. Fucking hell! I thought this was supposed to be uplifting. All right, cool.
And for all the leaders of science and medicine for being here today. This is a powerful place for reflection and remembrance. On this day in 1962, America was facing an inflection point. One of those times that changes everything from the day before to the day after. The shadow of world wars cast over a Cold War. The march on civil rights, urgent yet uncertain. And against all of that and more, America faced a choice to move forward or to move backwards, to build the future or obsess about the past, to be a nation of unity and hope and optimism, or a nation of division, violence, and hatred. At this inflection point, President Kennedy made a choice for the nation, thank God. On this day in 1962 at Rice University in Houston, he spoke about America's possibilities. I was asked by Xi Jinping, who I met with more than any other world leader in the Tibetan Plateau, and he turned to me and he said,
Xi Jinping, great man, a wonder of a man, someone who we should definitely be bringing up as like a source of wisdom in one of our speeches. Fuck yeah, we all love Xi Jinping. Pooh Bear, we love him, especially here at the Promethean Tides. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, Ching Cheng Chong, you know, talk about the Taiwan. Oh.
How old do you think Biden was when JFK gave his moonshot speech? I figure Joe Biden was like 50 or 60 at that time? He was a much younger man.
Let me think. Okay, that would have been in the 60s. So,
about 50 or 60. Yeah, that's how old Biden would have been.
But I don't think that would be that Biden is like 120. But
I think that's about right. That seems about right to me.
Okay, we'll go with that for comedic effect. Fucking Biden is fucking Skeletor, I guess.
Right. When JFK gave that speech, Joe Biden was actually older than JFK at that point. Just facts. Facts.
He's basically Gandalf. He was there when the pharaohs built the pyramids too. Fucking.
Can you define America for me? And I said yes, and I was sincere. I said one word: possibilities. In America, we believe anything is possible. I mean it.
Unless speaking freely on social media, that's not possible.
And in choosing to go to the moon, President Kennedy said America was doing so, quote, not because it was easy, but because it was hard. Because the goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energy and skills, because that challenge is one that we are willing to accept. One we are unwilling to postpone, and one which we intend to win. Unwilling to postpone. President Kennedy, unwilling to postpone.
So I don't know. Here's the thing, right? Like, I think it was a really cool thing that, like, you know, we got like to the moon, and that JFK did this whole like moonshot thing. Like, I think it's really nifty. You know, and in fact I think that we should go back to the moon, 100%. And maybe we will. Maybe it won't be under NASA. Maybe it'll be with SpaceX. Who knows? But we should go back to the moon. Fuck, I want bases on the moon. I want a fucking Mars colony. I want all of these things. I think it's awesome, right?
I think that the Boston Dynamics robot dog should do spicy dances on the surface of the moon.
Yo, absolutely. They should start like mining out little apartments, like like little cave apartments in the moon. Like we should be doing all this kind of shit. Like I totally support it. But here's the thing, right? This administration is so politically weak and unliked that it realistically does not make any sense for them to start any form of moonshot initiative, right? Like, if Biden said that he was going to start another moonshot where we go back to the moon finally, it's something that I would support, but the administration is in no fucking place to actually initiate one of these projects. They don't have the political capital to really push this forward. So it's like to me this just seems like window dressing. It's like they're trying to make it seem like they're doing something even though they almost certainly won't. That's the impression that I get from this.
One key part he left out was JFK was like nearly universally loved and an extremely popular president, while he is like, well, I don't know what I'm saying. He's like the most popular president ever. Moving on.
Yeah, he was the most popular president ever elected, and we can just see it through popular sentiment. Yeah, so anyway, once again, like you were saying, JFK, super popular, Biden, most popular, but also not that popular. I don't think that he has the political will power to initiate any sort of fucking moonshot, because I don't think that he's going to be in office in 2 years, and this reeks of making it look like you're doing something when you're actually not. Like when you're at your job and you're at the computer and you're actually just like browsing fucking Wikipedia or whatever, and you're not doing jack shit, but then like your boss is behind you, so you quickly pull up an Excel spreadsheet and then you start typing. I think that this is kind of what like this is, but we'll see. We'll see what he has to say about it.
President Kennedy set a goal to win the space race against Russia and advance science and technology for all of humanity. And when he set that goal, he established a national purpose that could rally the American people in a common cause. And he succeeded. Now, in our time, on the 60th anniversary of his clarion call, we face another inflection point. And together, we can choose to move forward with unity, hope, and optimism. And I believe we can usher in the same unwillingness to postpone, the same national purpose that will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills.
Yeah, the other thing about this is that, like, it makes sense to, like, to fund cancer research or whatever, but it doesn't really inspire the same sense of awe as does landing on the fucking moon, right? You land on the moon, that's fucking cool, right? When it comes to curing cancer, mostly what you're doing is, I mean, who for the most part has cancer? It's old people. It's people around the age of Joe Biden, actually. So, like, really, this is just like, it's not nearly as cool. You're just helping old people live longer. I mean, great, I guess, but it really, it's not quite the same as landing on the fucking moon. Landing on the moon is cool. Allowing old people to live 5 extra years longer is good, but it doesn't have the same cool factor. Wouldn't you agree, Breaker?
Yeah, generally.
All right, okay, let's keep listening.
To end cancer as we know it, and even cure cancers once and for all.
End cancer as we know it and cure cancers once and for all. That's not the goal of this program. It's to decrease the death rate of cancers by 50% over the next 25 years. Because
Gotta keep that cancer down.
it is such a Herculean task to actually cure cancer, right? Let me put it like this. It is an infinitely easier task to cure AIDS than it is to cure cancer, right? We went over this a bit during Biden's previous speech, but like cancer is an issue that occurs with multicellular organisms, right? You're talking about a problem that nature has been more or less unable to solve for the past, I don't know, like 400 million years since the first multicellular animals like popped out of the ocean. And so this is a phenomenal task ahead of you to actually cure cancer, given the fact that there's an infinite variety of them, or near infinite, a combinatorial explosion of varieties of cancer, let me say that to be precise. And each cancer is like, it's going to have different effects on the individual depending on like where in the body it shows up. Maybe it showed up deep within the organ. Maybe it showed up at the periphery of the organ and it has access to a capillary, which means they can metastasize more rapidly, right? Like there's all of these like quantities about like what cancer is as a disease, and he's just saying, yeah, we're gonna cure it. It is a far easier ask to just say we're gonna cure AIDS. I would say, yeah, the chances of us just outright curing AIDS within the next 25 years is way bigger than the chances of us curing cancer. So,
Well, you see, the problem with curing AIDS is a part of some people's identities.
it is also a part of a portfolio of profit-making drugs for certain pharmaceutical companies. So, I mean, you know.
Well, that too. That's probably a bigger part of it, but also it's like all those bug-chasing gay men would be like, how dare you? AIDS is part of my identity.
Oh, yeah. Actually, Breaker, I should ask, how many variants of AIDS have you managed to capture? I know that you want to collect them all.
Unfortunately, I never caught any of them.
Breaker, I'm really sorry to hear that. I know that you've been talking to me a lot off air how you want to catch them all, and I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, it's easier to catch the vaccines because the vaccines, people don't have to find you attractive to stick it in. Oh, snap.
Well done. All right.
I give you my word as a Biden, this cancer moonshot is one of the reasons why I ran for president.
Oh, bullshit.
Part of my unity agenda that I laid out in my State of the Union address to rally the American people to work together.
Unity
because
agenda.
We know this. Cancer does not discriminate red and blue. It doesn't care if you're a Republican.
Oddly enough, he's right. Cancer does not discriminate red and blue, but for some reason COVID did.
Strange how that works.
Depending on the type of political protest you were at, actually, scientifically there was quite a bias.
And if you were protesting for the cause of Black Lives Matter, it like spontaneously, miraculously cured COVID altogether.
Yeah, this is just scientific facts. This is Fauci level science, which is the best type of science. So
I am the science.
Right. So COVID does have a political bias. Cancer doesn't. So this is part of this is how you make America united. Fuck yeah.
Learn something new every day.
Republican or a Democrat. Beating cancer is something we can do together. And that's why I'm here today.
Together, America. You know the thing.
But not with those fucking MAGA clear and present danger people. We can't.
Well, you see, the problem with that is like MAGA basically is cancer. That's what he's really talking about.
Oh, right. Yeah, he's gonna lay out his final solution for...
He's gonna put all the MAGA Republicans on a rocket and fire it into the moon in a massive fiery explosion.
Oh my god, it's literally the cancer moonshot. Yeah.
We've made enormous progress in the past 50 years since President Nixon signed the National Cancer Act to declare a war on cancer. We learned cancer is not a single disease, but there are over 200 different types of cancers.
Yeah, there are 200 categories of cancer. There's an infinite variety. Also, can we stop saying war on shit? Because every single time that we've, like, the war on poverty, the war on cancer, the war on terror, it doesn't work out. It's never a good fucking idea. The war on drugs.
You know why they do that? There's a very simple reason for that. It has to do with boomers in general. This goes back to like the World War II propaganda office. So ever since then, because people back then were so conditioned by government propaganda so much, and most of that had to do with the war, they just realized it causes this Pavlovian response in boomers whenever you say war on X.
I mean, yeah, I guess it would, but I'm so sick of this fucking war on shit. Can we just not? We can do a war on Chinese communism, and maybe we could, get some tanks and artillery and airplanes up in that bitch, and we can do a proper war on Chinese communism. I mean, we could, in theory, right? I'm not advocating for that. I'm just saying that is a war on something. But how the fuck do you do a war on drugs, a war on poverty? Can we just stop saying this shit and just say, like, we have a project in order to reduce a thing? Because the war on bullshit, it's never led to anything good, and if anything, it's mostly been Orwellian nonsense. I just want to point that out real quick. We can keep listening. I know I'm interrupting a lot. I'm just saying.
Caused by different genetic mutations in our cells. We discovered new medicines, therapies, early detection and prevention measures to extend and to save lives. In the first 25 years since the National Cancer Act, the death rate from cancer largely remained unchanged. Then things began to change. With progress over the last 25 years, the death rate from cancer has fallen more than 25%. But despite the progress of lives extended, lives saved, cancer is still the #2 cause of death in America, second only to heart disease. For too many cancer patients and their families, instead of hope...
Wait. Hold on. I have just the best idea. Check this out. If the #2 cause of death is cancer, and the #1 cause of death is heart disease, what if we did a moonshot against heart disease?
Well, that would require people to become healthier, and it's Americans we're talking about, so that's actually more impossible than curing cancer.
Just stop eating fast food and, like, I don't know, walk like 15 minutes a day, and you probably have significantly reduced rates of heart disease. But no, we can't tackle that issue.
You talk about Herculean tasks. Like, basically, what you're saying right now is like on par with the fucking resurrection. It's like, yeah, good luck with that.
I mean, you could. Yeah. Okay. So you're right. Cancer is more difficult to solve scientifically, but from a cultural, sociological perspective, you might be right. The heart disease is the much harder task. You might be right about that.
There's bewilderment, The feeling of being on your own. Frustration that hospitals said doctors can't easily share your medical records with other hospitals and doctors to help find answers, even when every minute counts. Having to advocate for even the most basic care and attention for your loved ones.
Wait. He's talking about doctors sharing information in order to find answers. This means something. I think that what he might be proposing is a national database of medical records.
Interesting.
Like of course it would be quote unquote anonymous, but it would be like the NSA of medical records, right? How could that possibly be bad?
Ones. The flood of information is a completely different language with few people available to help you decipher it. Having therapy that can work within reach, but is too expensive or insurance won't cover it. And so when President Obama asked me to launch a cancer moonshot, our goal was to bring an added urgency, a new urgency to the fight. And in my view, not unlike President Kennedy did, we harnessed federal resources to change the culture, increase cooperation, and break down.
When he says harness federal resources, I want to make sure that everyone is on the same page. Harness federal resources is a completely synonymous phrase with throw money at the problem. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page here. What he just said was, if we just throw money at the problem, right? That's what he said. I just want to make sure.
To be very specific about it, it's throw other people's money at your problem.
Oh, right. Yes, throw the taxpayers' money at the thing that Joe Biden has decided is the problem. Yes, that is the most accurate way of depicting that.
The silos that exist. Yeah. That included everything from making published results of federally funded cancer research more available to any patient, to any doctor, for free, instead of the firewall that had been set up.
I do actually support that.
That included recognition that for many cancer patients, it's hard to even know if there's a clinical trial that can help them.
So there was I think it's gotten better in recent years, but there was a time when government-funded research papers would be locked behind a paywall of some fucking scientific journal. And then the question is, wait a minute, if this is research that is funded by the taxpayer, then in theory these papers should be made public. And that makes complete sense, and I think that there has been some efforts to make it so that these papers are not behind paywalls. And I actually totally support that. I think it makes no goddamn sense. If the taxpayer is going to be funding research, then they should also have free access to the results of said research. I think that makes complete sense. I don't know how anyone could possibly disagree with that.
I mean, when you get to the point where it's fucking publicly funded, it's basically on par with a fucking library. It should just be, hey, here's this website where you can look this thing up that your fucking money paid for.
Yeah, and it's still not perfect, but it has been getting better. So there is that.
Well, you see, if the uninitiated look into science, like they'll draw all types of incorrect conclusions and might propagate misinformation, you see. So the science has to be locked securely away in the cathedral so that you stupid plebs can't get your dirty hands on it.
Yes, because the plebs are not the science. The government elites are the science. So we gotta keep those cordoned off. Yeah, I see.
Let alone how to enroll in one. So we launched trials.cancer.gov so everyone can find a clinical trial near them or across the country and the world, and they can gain access to these trials. I've traveled the country, brought together leaders in healthcare, technology, education, business, philanthropy, I visited many of the major cancer research centers in the world, and nowhere, no matter where I was or what the topic at hand, world leaders wanted to talk to me about our cancer moonshot. That's not hyperbole, that's a fact. For example, Pope Francis convened a major international conference on cell therapies at the Vatican and invited me to speak about our mission. One of the final pieces of legislation President Obama signed into law was the bipartisan 21st Century Cures Act. It streamlined the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, by creating an oncology center of excellence so new cancer treatments can be evaluated faster. It provided 7 years of new funding, including research.
Okay. Cool. That is a tough nut to crack. The FDA expediting research into cancer therapies. That's a tough nut to crack, I'll tell you what. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Breaker, what do you think? What's your gut feeling on that?
About new cancer therapies?
The FDA expediting, I guess, the release of cancer therapies, requiring less research into them before they're released on the public.
Well, you see, some part of us is going to be leaving this Earth and this mortal coil, but I don't know if we're going to be ending up on the moon. I think we're going to all leave a bit further away from that whenever this takes effect. Especially people with cancer. This is going to be... It's going to be just terrible.
I mean, it does make some amount of sense, and actually Trump talked a lot about this, that the FDA regulations exist for a purpose, but when you're facing something that is extremely life-threatening, that is going to kill you in like 2 years or something, then you're okay with taking the medication that may not be fully FDA tested, but might work, right? It's like the I forget what Trump called it. It's like the right to try or something. It's the idea that you have the right to take an untested medicine if you're gonna be dying anyway. Like you should have the right to at least like take the chance. I guess overall it makes some sense. I think that we still need to have some amount of checking to make sure that what we're giving to people is not just straight up rat poison, but to a certain, like, I can see the sense being made. So actually, what Biden just said, it's not the worst thing. I can see the logic and the reason behind it. And
when you also think about all these fucking drug manufacturers are basically bulletproof when it comes to liability because the government shields them, this is going to get to the point where they're just going to send you fucking sugar water and just basically say fuck you with a $10,000 vial of sugar water, and when it doesn't work, no one has any freaking recourse other than to petition the government to give them some form of welfare because their relative died from the sugar water disguised as a cancer drug.
See, that's actually a good point, right? That's a very good point that you make. Like, if you're the pharmaceutical corporation, and you're not sure if your drug works or not, and you think that there might be some, like, lethality behind it, well, it is the primary goal of the pharmaceutical corporations to at least try to cover their ass. Because even if they don't get sued in court for issues, if they release a drug and it ends up killing a whole bunch of people, that's going to make them look bad. So I could definitely see a scenario where they actually do just end up giving people sugar pills just to, I don't know, like, so that they can demonstrate that they released a drug and it didn't cause any further harm. Like, it didn't improve people's health, but it didn't make them worse off because it was a fucking sugar pill. I could definitely see shit like that happening if this sort of policy were to move forward, and that would be very interesting. That is a potential effect of this. But this isn't actually Biden's idea. This is Trump's idea to begin with. So, yeah. All right. Well, let's keep listening.
Research on cancer therapies and the disparities, trial networks to discover new drugs, and new efforts in childhood cancer. As President of the United States Senate, I presided over the overwhelming bipartisan vote and watched my friend Mitch McConnell name the cancer provisions in that bill after my son Beau, who had lost his life to that disease just months earlier. And when we left office, Jill and I knew we had to keep going through, keep it up, so we initiated the Biden Cancer Initiative. We focused on turning the Moonshot into a movement, not just a shot, a movement, to create a cancer research and care system that most people think we already have, but they don't realize until they find they have cancer that we don't, but one that we deserve.
We can deserve all types of shit. The issue is not that, like, we just don't have the the infrastructure in place because of mismanagement. The issue is that, like I've been saying, cancer itself is a Herculean task, and there's just certain things that mankind is not currently able to do. I mean, for instance, maybe some people would like to go live on Mars. It's just that right now this is outside of our technological capabilities.
Well, I don't know. Now that he's worded it like that, you see, there's one thing that Biden does know a lot about when it comes to differentiating shots from movement. It's like, okay, when he tries to get up in the morning and sit on the toilet, it's like this sporadic, momentary shots of fecal matter. But when he has the full bran muffin beforehand, then he gets to enjoy the full bowel movement.
Yes. Well, also with the prunes and the yeah.
Yeah, that's why you got to get the prunes and the bran. It's like, in order to have a full movement, he knows about movements.
That's the full movement. It's not just little shots. It's the full fucking movement.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And everywhere we'd go,
There you
people
go.
share their stories. Literally. In grocery stores, airports, rope lines. While we heard stories of loss and despair, the stories began to change to a feeling of real hope. Not because of me or Jill, but because of all of you and so many of you at home. Doctors, researchers, advocates, caregivers, patients, survivors. And that's when I was elected president. I determined to supercharge the cancer moonshot as a central effort in the Biden-Harris administration. In February, I laid out our plan that is bold, ambitious, and I might add, completely
Insane.
doable.
Oh, he said
The goal is to
doable,
cut
sorry.
cancer death rates by at least 50% in the next 25 years. To turn more cancers from death sentences into chronic diseases people can live with. To create more supportive experience for patients and families. And to update our fight against the cancer. It's a disease we often diagnose too late and have too few ways to prevent it in the first place. Where there are stark inequities based on race, disability, zip code, sexual orientation, gender identity, and other factors.
Okay. There are some stark differences in cancer rates, according to things like age and sex, and I guess, yeah, race would be another one. Yeah, there are differences. But a lot of those differences that you see are actually just due to biology It's not due to racism. It's due to just differences, right? So, for instance, check this out. When it comes to sex, women are much more likely to get breast cancer. That's not to say that men can't get breast cancer. It's just that it's much more likely for women to get breast cancer. And when it comes to men, they're like 100% more likely to get prostate cancer. Because, I mean, except for in the past 5 years, women didn't, generally speaking, tend to have prostates. When it comes to age, of course, we know that basically the older you are, the more likely you are to get cancer. That's just a fact of biology. It comes from basically the bit rot of the DNA. And when it comes to race, I mean, that could be something as simple as, pasty-ass white people are a lot more likely to get melanoma, right? Skin cancer is it's an issue. So, yeah, all of these things do exist. Like, that's 100% true. But it's biological factors. I don't even know why it's worth bringing these things up.
You see, General Chief, your anti-trans bigotry is shining through. You mean to tell me that there are women without prostates? How dare you?
I mean, you're right. That is really bigoted of me, isn't it?
You can't just define a woman as a non-prostate haver. What type of freaking Stone Age, medieval freaking hell cult do we live in?
You're right, Breaker. I need to repent, and I am properly admonished.
Oh, good. I'm glad I could be of assistance.
Right. Okay. Let's keep.
You got to respect my identity because I'm valid.
Breaker, you're the most valid little fucking tranny.
Exactly.
We know too little about why treatments work for some patients, but the same patient, the different patient with the same disease, it doesn't work for. We still lack strategies for developing treatments for some cancers, like childhood cancers. We don't do enough to help patients and families navigate the cancer care system. We don't learn enough from their experience as patients. We don't share enough data and knowledge to bring the urgency we need to finding new answers.
To a certain extent, like when it comes to childhood cancer, it tends to be pretty rare. Like it's fucking brutal and it's awful. But most cancer occurs when you're old. It's pretty rare for children to have cancer, but it does happen sometimes, and it totally fucking sucks. So,
I don't know a lot about it, but I imagine some small component of that has to do with genetics when it's like childhood cancers.
Oh yeah, at that point, it's almost certainly there's almost certainly a genetic component. I mean, unless they were like exposed to fucking plutonium when they were, in the womb or some shit. It's usually some sort of genetic factor. Yeah.
You see, the family was trying to go to Disney World, but the dad had a little bit too much to drink at the Christmas party, so he actually mistakenly wrote down the family vacation spot as Chernobyl.
Oh, yeah, easy mistake to make. Gosh darn it.
Yeah. You try to go to Russian Disney, but you, misspell it because Russian is really hard to spell. You end up in Chernobyl. It happens all the time.
Oops.
Oopsie poopsie. Well, good thing Biden's going to cure that for us.
Today, we know we can change the trajectory. For example, to prevent cancers, scientists are exploring whether mRNA vaccine technology that brought us safe and effective COVID-19 vaccine.
Safe and effective. I cannot wait to pump people full of more mRNA technologies because it was so goddamn safe and effective when it came to COVID. Fuck yeah. Oh, it's so safe and effective. It was the most safe and effective. Let's go.
Wonderful.
I got so much safety. I got so much safety inside my veins, my eyes started to bleed. That's how fucking safe it was. Let's go. Okay. So I want to point out that I think that Biden might actually be referencing something that is a little bit outside of his wheelhouse. So, like, for instance, when it comes to the COVID thing, mRNA was used to deliver. It was the vector by which the vaccine was delivered, right? But that's for a virus, and that's a vaccination. When it comes to a cancer, you can actually use, perhaps more legitimately, mRNA in a very, very, very different way, right? So, for instance, you could use a modified oligonucleotide, something like a morphaldino, although it doesn't necessarily have to be that. But you could use like a modified oligonucleotide to actually change the behavior of intracellular RNA, right? You can attach them to the 3' UTR. You can actually affect the localization of the mRNA, and therefore change the behavior of the cell. And so that's a way where you could use not even really the same technology, but use mRNA itself in order to treat cancer, and that is actually something that some people are looking into. So, I mean, it is mRNA technology, but it's in a very different. It's like a totally different ballpark of utilization of that. But yes, I mean, he's not wrong. In theory, yeah, that is actually, I believe, going to be a treatment for cancer going forward. So yeah, it's he's wrong, but he's not totally wrong. So yeah, there it is.
Yay.
Could be used to stop cancer cells when they first arise. To target the right treatments, we're learning more about how to use genetics, immune response, and other factors to tell which combinations of treatments are likely to work best for each individual. To address inequities, we can ensure prevention, detection, treatment, reach patients in urban, rural, suburban, and tribal communities so they have equal access.
I'm sorry, in tribal communities? Urban,
Yeah.
suburban, rural, and tribal? We're helping out the... How many fucking tribes exist in America at this point?
Well, quite a few, actually. I think he's talking about Native Americans, or is that PC?
Oh.
Is it indigenous? I don't know. Did they change the word?
Oh, okay, right, that kind of tribal. I was thinking like...
I just drove through one, as a matter of fact, because I'm in Oklahoma right now.
Right, okay, fine. Tribal, fine. I was thinking like you know, the uncontacted tribes that live in the Amazon rainforest, like that kind of shit.
Well, I don't know. I mean, they could use Western medicine too, I guess.
Yeah, you know, like they literally just they pick berries and drink directly from the stream. But yeah, let's give them super duper advanced cancer medications. Yeah. I mean, at this point, can we actually call like the Native American reservations tribal? Like that seems like kind of a misnomer to me.
Some of them are. There are some that don't qualify anymore because they, and I'm not making this up, they literally became too white because they interbred too much with white.
Dude,
this is the government standard.
It's not about what percent white or not white you are. To me,
no, it matters.
No, okay, well, according to the government bullshit bureaucratic standard, but from like I believe like a proper definitional standpoint, a tribe it's a group of humans that basically have yet to enter into agriculture or develop a civilization. And I think that most of the Native Americans in America, they have civilization, don't they? Like, they...
Well, I mean, if you're only counting where the casinos are, I mean, I'm not trying to be a dick about this, but the Native American community actually has a higher propensity for criminal activities than
I'm
certain
not
other ones.
right, but criminal activity is also something that is kind of associated with like civilization. I'm just saying, like, I don't think that there's that many like pure hunter-gatherer tribes that are left in America. I just don't think that they really exist.
Well, I think you're defining tribe technically has more to do with like the community and family structures. It's like a very specific thing where we have like family names, like our last names. That's kind of like the same concept of tribe, but it's been stretched out over so many thousands of years through this civilizational machinery that we don't think of it that way anymore. But when you don't have a last name and it's just son of so and so, that's more like what a tribe is.
All right, okay. I don't want to get into the semantics of this. Let's move on.
Cancer diagnostics, therapeutics, and clinical trials. As part of the supercharged Moonshot, I'll use my authorities as president
With prune
to
juice.
increase funding to break log jams into speed breakthroughs.
It's the
I've
thing.
also formed a new
You know.
cancer cabinet
The thing.
that is driving a whole of government effort to unleash every possible asset within our power. From
He's
NASA,
going to supercharge the
who knows more
moonshot
about
to break
radiation
the
than any
logjam.
doctor does, to the Defense Department.
It's too many metaphors all at once. My brain can't handle it.
He literally did like the bowel movement joke for me. I didn't even know he was going to do it, but he did. He supercharged the moonshot, most likely with prune juice, in order to break the log jam.
For the log, I got a big old log, and
I gotta break it. I gotta supercharge this moonshot.
we need a big old government program for this one.
I need extra prunes.
All right, okay, Breaker. At this point, we're being infantile.
The ability to calculate in the energy department, do 1,000,000 billion calculations per second. Health and Human Services.
A billion calculations per second.
The cancer cabinet. As does
That's a damn good computer.
A childhood cancer survivor who is committed to helping Americans get.
Well, let's consider this. He said 1,000,000 billion calculations per second. So, I believe
that's like a quadrillion calculations per second. There's no computer on the face of the earth that could do that.
Well, okay. Giga is billion, right? And then 1,000,000 billion. Well, that's let's see. After giga, you get tera, and then after tera, you get exa. So exaflop. Actually, Breaker, we do have exaflop computers. You're fake news.
Oh shit. The science wins again. Damn you, science!
Ah!
Time off for cancer screenings or care for a loved one. The White House Office of Science and Technology Policy is changing the path for the cancer moonshot for 2022 and beyond. And today, I'm setting a long-term goal for the cancer moonshot to rally America and ingenuity that we can engage like we did to reach the moon that actually cures cancers, not all cancers, cures for cancers once and for all. And a critical way
So now we're
to do
curing
that
cancers, but only 50% of the time.
going through what I call ARPA-H, Advanced Research Project Agencies for Health. It's based on DARPA, the Defense Department's advanced
Health DARPA. Alright, I'm gonna be honest, I don't hate the concept of Health DARPA. That actually sounds rad as shit. I'm gonna say I don't hate this.
Research Projects Agency that has helped lead to breakthroughs in technologies to protect our national security, like the internet, GPS, and so much more. ARPA-H will have the singular purpose.
Why did it have to be ARPA-H? Why not just call it HARPA? You got DARPA, just call it HARPA. Why ARPA?
Well, there's already another government thing called HARP that's a different thing, and it's a whole. They're run out of acronyms in Alphabet City. They're gonna have to make. They can't all be winners like FBI and CIA. Some of them just sound stupid.
Yeah. I mean, they really did fucking hit the mark with the FBI. I mean,
There's only so many letters in the fucking alphabet. Goddamn.
I know, but dude, they picked out some really good ones with the some of the first 3-letter agencies, like FBI. That just sounds official as shit. CIA. Like it's intimidating, you know? It's not like MQI. Well, that just sounds like shit. Fuck it. Whatever the fuck MQI is, that sounds gay. All right.
And then they had DMV, which sounds good on paper, but when you go there, it's like, you're going to need a moonshot to unbreak that logjam, I tell you what.
We love government bureaucracy.
Drive breakthroughs to prevent, detect, and treat diseases including cancer, Alzheimer's, diabetes, and other diseases, and enable us to live healthier lives. I call for ARPA-H in my campaign, and after being elected president, notwithstanding the fact that Democrats and Republicans allegedly don't talk to one another, Republicans, Independents, and Democrats in Congress came together and invested $1 billion initially to launch ARPA-H. Imagine the possibilities. Vaccines that could prevent cancer.
Bro, $1 billion is a drop in the fucking bucket. He said, I secured $1 billion. Now that sounds really good, right? If you were starting a company and you got $1 billion for investors, that's fucking amazing, right? You're on to something. But no, he started a government program and he got $1 billion from politicians. They throw taxpayer money around like it's nothing. And, like, just real quick, compare the budget of the NIH to whatever the hell Biden is doing with this. Actually, let me look it up real quick. What is the federal annual budget of the NIH? Let me look it up real quick. Breaker, say some shit to make us not have dead air while I'm looking this up.
Yay, bureaucracy.
Okay. Okay. So the annual budget of the NIH in 2022 is $45 billion. Okay. So he got 1/45th of the annual budget of the NIH. By the way, this is Biden trying to create a 25-year-long program. He's been able to secure 1/45th of the NIH's yearly budget for this measure. And let me just go back and check out the NCI specifically.
This doesn't sound great.
The NCI's yearly budget per year, and this is the National Cancer Institute, mind you. So this is the place where we're already doing all the cancer research. Was $7 billion. So he has secured 1/7 of the funding that the National Cancer Institute has for his Cancer Moonshot program. This is not, so far, maybe he'll do better in the future. So far, this isn't doing shit. This is a drop in the bucket, as I thought it would be. $1 billion is not.
You know what
much.
I think? You know what I think happened? He went into the office of the people that handle this fucking money, and he just went in with a fully loaded diaper and started babbling incoherently about his son and corn pop and you know the thing, and they were just like, all collectively like, oh god damn it, he's in here again and his diaper is full. What the fuck do we do? Just give him a check for $1 billion so he'll go away.
That, you know what? That sounds exactly like how bureaucrats would probably manage the taxpayers' money. Fuck it, it's not our money, it's not important. Just give him $1 billion, make him go away.
Diaper man is in here again and he's stinking up the room. Just give him the $1 billion check. It's just 1/45 of the fucking budget anyway. It's not gonna fucking matter.
Like there is for HPV. Imagine molecular zip codes that could deliver drugs and gene therapy precisely to the right tissues. Imagine simple blood test during an annual physical that could detect cancer early where the chances of the cure are best. Imagine getting a simple shot instead of a grueling chemo, or getting a pill from a local pharmacy instead of invasive treatments and long hospital stays. Imagine treatments beyond cancer, bold approaches to reduce maternal mortality and morbidity, something Vice President Harris is laser focused on. And imagine...
Oh yeah, President Harris is super laser focused.
...that could help blind people see. These are just a few of the ideas that illustrate the amazing potential of ARPA-H. When President Kennedy called for...
Now he's basically Jesus. He's giving sight to the blind.
Tools and experience needed. With our Cancer Moonshot today, we do. And I'm pleased to announce my...
Okay, I want to point out a small discrepancy, right? So the Apollo program that brought us to the moon, the moonshot that JFK got us started on, okay? He was spending $26 billion on that shit, okay? And by the way, that was back in 1960. So how much would that be worth today? That's $257 billion he got together for the actual moonshot. $257 billion of today's dollars. Biden has secured $1 billion. Okay? 1/257th of the actual JFK moonshot. I'm sorry, but this is a joke. This is a fucking joke. This is not real. This is something to make people think that work is being done when in fact it is not. Clearly. If he came out and he said, yo, I raised fucking $15 billion, I would go, oh shit, alright, that is something of a moonshot. We can work with that. But no! He got $1 billion together. Alright, 1/7 of the NCI's budget. This is... See, when it comes to numbers this big, people don't tend to actually, like, realize, like, the differences, because they all just sound big. Billion, trillion, they're all big. But there are still scales that exist here, and this, currently speaking, is a tiny passion project of the president. This is not really anything, as it stands. Maybe, given, we've seen how fucking capable Biden is, so maybe with his immense capabilities and leadership potential and passion, he'll be able to, get more money and really make this a true moonshot, but as it stands right now, this is empty promises. This is him trying to appear like he's doing something while simultaneously doing jack shit. In my opinion. Let's keep going.
Oh, there we go.
My selection as the inaugural director of ARPA-H, Dr. Renee Wegerson, who is here today. Doctor, where are you? Stand up.
You can tell he had to practice that name. Wiggerson. That's just a Bob White to have.
Please do not mispronounce.
A leading biomedical scientist, a decade of experience leading multiple biotech projects at DARPA. And by the way, it's about how to use all the assets we have. All of them. An entrepreneur in synthetic biology. She's going to bring the legendary DARPA attitude and culture and boldness and risk-taking to ARPA-H to fill a critical need. discoveries that save
Just
lives.
call it HARPA, you
change
fucking
lives,
piece of shit. Why does it
and
have to be
often start-
ARPA-H?
often
HARPA.
start in the lab bench.
HARPA, not
Then those basic research breakthroughs need to
ARPAH.
be tested, scaled, and brought to the clinic. This may require unusual partnerships. They may require support to get over many obstacles that exist. That's why ARPA-H is designed what it's designed to do, so the advances can reach all Americans sooner. I predict ARPA-H will emerge as a new and exciting member of America's biomedical ecosystem. But it's not enough to invent technologies that save lives. We need to manufacture advanced biotechnologies.
This is how we
here
get the
in
pharmaceutical
United
industry
States.
involved. Yes.
That's why today I signed an executive order that directs the federal government to ensure biotechnologies invented in the United States of America are made in the United States of America. Whether they are.
So he's going full Trump. He's like, yo, if we're going to be doing biotechnology, it's got to be made in good old US of A. You know, make America great again. This I can support. We should be doing, we shouldn't be outsourcing. We should keep shit internal. I actually support this.
For cancer treatments or anything else like next generation fuels and materials. Today's action is going to ensure that America leads the world. And
I got a fucking next generation fuel and material for you. It's called uranium. You can use it to like make nuclear power plants. It's pretty fucking cool. I mean, it may not be, you know, next gen entirely, but compared to what we're doing right now, it's pretty fucking next gen. Why don't we invest in nuclear power, Joe Biden? We don't need solar power and wind farms. We don't need this because the expenditure per fucking kilowatt gained kind of sucks. It's kind of an abysmal investment. But you know what is a good investment, by the way, Joe Biden? Good old fucking nuclear power. It's a proven technology. And, I mean, as long as you don't, I don't know, have, communists involved and make it, melt down, and you don't live on the, earthquake-ridden, tsunami-ridden shores of Japan, it's pretty good. Put a fucking nuclear power plant in Idaho, and it's the safest thing on the fucking planet. In fact, I guarantee you that it will be more safe than literally any other energy generator that you can come up with. A nuclear power plant in Idaho is literally the safest form of technology for energy generation per kilowatt that exists today. I can fucking guarantee you that. Joe Biden, please, just can you give us nuclear power?
biotechnology and biomanufacturing, creating jobs, reducing prices, strengthening supply chains so we don't have to rely on anywhere else in the world. Here in America will be made. And there's more that we're doing. The Inflation Reduction Act that I signed into law puts a $2,000 cap on the total prescription drug costs for any senior on Medicare, including cancer medicine.
The Inflation Reduction Act is a pile of steaming bullshit that does nothing to reduce inflation. Just want to point that out.
For so many people, one of the first things
I'm fairly certain at this point that the $1 billion he got was just like on par with his son's totally legitimate Picasso 2.0 level mastercraft artwork. I think it's just like run away with the bag shit. I think it's just like, oops, that check that they handed me when my diaper was full. It's like, I forget where that check went. I seem to remember something like my son, he snuck up behind me while my diaper was full, and he fished the check out of my back pocket, which was a Herculean task in and of itself. I don't know where it went.
honestly, Breaker, I feel like you're hating a lot on Joe Biden right now, and I feel like that comes from a place of jealousy because he didn't sniff your hair. Okay, you wanted him to sniff your hair, but he didn't, and now you feel salty.
Well, I know a few diaper furs that would be jealous of his ability to fill up a diaper.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ, the degeneracy. All right.
Degeneracy. Well, we are talking about Democrats and Biden, so it perfectly hand in hand.
Fucking disgusting.
Do we need to sell the house? Do we need to skip payments on the car? Can we afford to send the kids to college? The Inflation Reduction Act is a godsend. It's going to save people on
It's not a godsend.
one prostate
Not whatsoever.
drug.
It doesn't
about
help.
$6,000 a year. Thousands of women are taking breast cancer treatments that will see about a $7,000 a year savings. But that's not all. When I led the Cancer Moonshot as vice president, one of the
This is what his Inflation Reduction Act is, basically. The interaction between government and, let's say, universities. The government keeps funding people's university money, and so what happens is that you get a whole bunch more people that want to go to university, which means that you've significantly increased the demand artificially because the U.S. government is paying for it. And with increased demand comes an increased price for university, and we've seen the price of university skyrocket. And then you go, oh shit, now that the price of university has skyrocketed due to the undue influence of the government pumping money into the system, how do we make this better for your average American? Oh, the answer. Let's pump more government money into it. That should make it less expensive, fucking somehow. This is a major part of the Inflation Reduction Act. Oh, wow. Medical costs are hyperinflated by government pouring money into the industry. How do we fix this? Let's pour more government money into it. I'm sure it'll make it better. I'm sure it will drive costs down.
You see, that wasn't real inflation. This is going to be real inflation.
Right. No, this is the, like, look, I don't necessarily hate Biden's moonshot thing here. I think there are issues, but I don't inherently hate it. I think that it actually has some, like, potential benefits to it, depending on how
until you realize that it only has $1 billion.
Well, then, at the very least, it does nothing, and so I guess I'm not that upset by the government not doing anything. I would prefer that the government not do things more. But his Inflation Reduction Act actually does, unfortunately, do something, and it's all dumb shit. It's shit that you know is not going to work based off of just basic principles of economics. Like, hey, if you throw more money at the problem, that doesn't mean that shit gets cheaper. In fact, generally speaking, shit gets more expensive as you throw more money at it. Biden doesn't seem to realize it. So like I was saying, I don't hate the moonshot, but the Inflation Reduction Act, I fucking hate. The Inflation Reduction Act actually is a gigantic cancer, and it should be the first thing that the fucking cancer moonshot addresses, in my opinion.
The biggest issues I talked about was how federally funded cancer researchers were not sharing their results with their peers or the public because they wanted to have the answer. You all know it. As I mentioned earlier, we made federally funded cancer research more available to any patient, to any doctor, anywhere, for free. And today, as president, we're making sure that transparency applies to all federally funded.
Okay, interesting point there. That is true. Cancer researchers, but also not just cancer researchers, any researcher within the scientific field is not necessarily going to want to send their own research to another lab, because then that lab can look at their research and try to outdo them and try to I guess, beat them towards the next paper. That's why a lot of labs keep their data very tight, right? They don't send it to many other people unless they're in a collaboration. If they're in a collaboration with another lab and they already know, like, whose names are going to be on the paper, then they can openly share information. But for the most part, if you're not in a collaboration with another lab on a paper, you don't want to be sending out your research or your data. Now, how do you fix this? Well, fuck if I know, right? Because at this point, like what Joe Biden is talking about is completely revamping the way that science is done, period, in America, where your lab isn't funded by the number of papers that they get out. This is it sounds simple, like, hey, like scientists, they should be sharing data. But it's like, okay, given the incentive structure that you've actually, opened up for, people that are studying science, well, there is zero incentive for me to send my data to a competitor, right? I want to keep my data in-house so that I can get the paper out so that I can secure funding for the next 2 years. So how is it that he actually plans to revamp that? Answer,
well, here's one
I guarantee you that he has no plan. He has no plan.
Here's one thing. Well, here's one thing that would, I don't know if it would cost $1 billion per se, but given the budget that he's putting into this, here's one thing that $1 billion could relatively easily do is just by making cancer research, like quasi-nationalizing it and putting it under the same purview as like classified government information. That way, if you share specifically cancer-related research around and anyone breaches that, it's a federal offense.
An interesting idea, for certain.
I know you wouldn't like that. I know you don't like that, but that's probably the most realistic thing you could do with $1 fucking billion.
So basically, you turn the NIH from being an open research platform to basically like the CIA with classified documents.
Yes.
I mean, it is a potential solution. I don't know if it's the best solution, but it is a potential solution, yes.
That way, you don't have to worry about that pesky market, like, capitalist bullshit of competition. It's all just for the state, comrade.
Yeah, no, Breaker, I'll tell you what, I cannot find a single issue in that idea. That just sounds rosy.
Well, 50 billion dead communists can't be wrong because, that wasn't real communism.
Yeah, very good point. Okay.
Science beyond just cancer. And this summer, I announced the new head of the National Cancer Institute, Boston's own, Monica Bertinelli, excuse me.
You know, the name.
Monica, you can call me Bidden. And she's here today. Where are you, Monica? Stand
Like,
up.
some of these names sound like racial slurs. He has to be really careful.
I can just about guarantee you that about half of these researchers that he's talking about were not born in this country. I know that sounds offensive. I'm just saying I have some experience in this field, and we import a lot of people from other countries to do research here. A lot of people. You would be surprised at how many labs that are funded by the NIH are Chinese-speaking labs. They exclusively speak Chinese. You would be surprised at how many exist. I'm just saying. They're funded by the NIH. They exist in the NIH, and the lab only speaks Chinese. And by the way, if you try to apply to the lab, they will only hire Chinese people. For some reason, this is allowed to exist. I don't know why, but it's a thing. Does it make any sense? No. But do we do it? Fuck yeah. Because reasons.
Well, weirdly enough, according to his wife, I hear that basically they're as diverse as the breakfast tacos from your local bodega. So
very, very diverse. Hey,
and now they're as diverse as the dim sum from your local Chinatown restaurant.
Breaker, how many times do I fucking have to tell you this? Diversity is our strength.
Well, yeah, well, that's why you compare them to food, because food make you strong.
It all makes sense.
Now you're getting it. Now you understand the Biden logic.
The Cancer Institute is launching a major national trial for those new tests I mentioned. that could detect one or more cancers merely by taking blood samples. You know, if that's the case, these blood tests could lead to less invasive cancer detection tools that will save lives. We're also launching the first ever Cancer Moonshot Scholar Program to support a new generation of scientists from every background, from every part of the country, to launch their cutting-edge research and careers.
When he says support scientists from every background, from every area, I believe, and I don't know this for a fact, but I believe what he means is that he's going to have a scholarship for scientific excellence that is based off of the race of the person. So, if they discover that there's too many, I don't know, Japanese people in the scientific field, then that scholarship will not be available to them. If there's too many Chinese, Indian, white people in the scientific field, that scholarship will not be available to them. It has to be race-based, because, of course, all good things are race-based. And the scholarship will be available to those who are of the race that is less represented in the scientific field. Like, if Mongolians are less represented in the scientific field, then I'm certain that this will be a scholarship that is more for the Mongolians. And isn't that just brilliant?
Oh.
I love having academics be based off of the race of the person. That's how you get the highest quality academics, by the way. A lot of people don't realize this, but actually, the best academics that you can get is just looking at a person based off of their race and just about nothing else. Fuck yeah.
I think we're going to return to like something from a few decades before the moonshot that he's been alluding to multiple times. We're going to go back to the internment camp filled with Asians, but this time it's going to be a diverse collection of Asians, and they will have an MMA style cage match to determine who gets the scholarship, and the white people can just fuck off.
Well, actually, no. In that case, it would be the Asians and the whites are all engaging in an MMA combat in order to get the scholarship. Meanwhile, random, let's say, Puerto Rican walks in and they go, "Here's your scholarship, sir. We see that you're Puerto Rican. You deserve this. Do you have any background in science? Not necessary. You're Puerto Rican. Yeah, you get it."
And also, the Puerto Rican can help set up the cage.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. No, this is the lefty Democrat approach to science. They do not care for merit. They do not care necessarily about like what you've done academically, what papers you've written, what advancements you've made. The most important thing is, do you look the part? Can you be the next Neil deGrasse Tyson? That's the most important thing. That's what you got to remember. Cool.
But we need everyone to get in the game. That's why I'm also calling on the science and medical communities to bring the boldest thinking to this fight. I'm calling on the private sector to develop and test new treatments, make drugs more affordable, share more data and knowledge that can inform the public and benefit every company's research. And I'm respectfully calling on people living with cancer and caregivers and families to keep sharing their experience and pushing for progress. Go to whitehouse.gov/cancermoonshot. Share your ideas. So many of you have already made a difference. Last month, I signed the so-called PACT Act into law, one of the most significant laws helping veterans and their families impacted by toxic exposure, like burn pits that lead to cancer.
Those are an issue. Yeah, fuck the burn pits. I agree.
Advocates and allies who helped me get this bill to my desk. They never gave up. They never stopped. They slept in the Capitol steps. It matters. It's personal to all of us. So let me close with this. Caroline, I couldn't be here and not talk about your Uncle Teddy. It was one of my
Oh,
dearest
okay,
friends.
cool. So I see that he's going to go back into the politician talk, say some thank yous. I think that we can stop listening to the speech there. I'm pretty sure that for the rest of it, it's just
You might say something really funny. You might mispronounce someone's name and sound like a racial slur. We don't know. It is Biden.
it's possible, yeah. But I think all right, cool. At this point, he's just doing his thank yous. He's not going to say anything more that is, I don't know, worthwhile. So that was. I think we have about 3 minutes left on the speech, but otherwise, yeah, that was Joe Biden's speech on the cancer moonshot. That was interesting, I would say. What I came back from that, what I came back from that with was an idea that Joe Biden desperately wants people to think that he's doing something, even when he's actually not doing anything. And if he is doing anything, it's probably in favor of the World Economic Forum, and it's probably hurting you. But this is a thing that sounds good. Now, is it going to do any good? Does he have the political willpower, or the money, or the funding, or the force to do this? Maybe not, but can he stand up on a stage and say that he wants to do this? Yes, he can. And God damn it, it at least looks like he's doing something. And so that's a powerful message.
Yeah, it is very, very heartwarming to see Grandpa up on the stage talking to all his friends from Boston.
All right, well, I guess that's enough of that.
Yeah, thanks, random Bostonite person with name that sounds suspiciously like a racial slur. But by the way, it costs the $6,000 a year for these cancer treatments, and thousands of women are doing these cancer treatments right now. We're going to save them $7,000. So basically, we're going to give them free drugs plus $1,000 of free money. I don't know if you caught that part, but that was particularly funny.
We gotta keep giving people free money. God damn it. Yeah. So
Especially women, because women cancer is like male cancer is one thing, but woman cancer that's like femicide versus homicide. Like there has to be a new special name for chick cancer.
femicide versus homicide. Clearly,
That's an actual thing.
Clearly, femicide is like 10 times worse than just a regular homicide.
Yeah, it's like super murder.
Well, I mean, there is some truth to that, right? It's like, generally speaking, it is worse to murder a woman than a man, and it is worse to murder a child than a woman, right? So on the hierarchy of whose lives matter more, a child's life matters the most, then a woman's, and then a man's. I'm actually I don't disagree with that, mind you. I think that's actually completely fair. That is just
Wait a minute.
accurate.
I would actually disagree with that slightly. Technically, the woman would still be more important because she can have more children. Where if the woman dies and you're left with a child, the child, one, can have more children, and the child has more likelihood to die anyway. So statistically, by the numbers, it's slightly worse if the woman dies than the child.
Well, no, because the woman is a rapidly aging individual who may not be able to have children into the future, whereas the child is filled with potential. So actually, the type of human that has the most value above everyone else, the one who deserves to be saved the first, is actually the female child, and I don't disagree with that. I think there is sense, there is evolutionary sense, there is natural sense behind that. I believe that may actually just be fundamentally true. The individual with the most value of their life is the female child.
It's almost as though feminism wasn't even necessary and this was just baked into evolution from the ground up.
Yeah, literally. Feminism is an overplay of their hand, right? It's like, you already are the most important thing. Why are you trying to act like you're the least important thing so that you can become the most important thing even more? It's absurd.
I'll tell you, there's a good reason for that. It's because in this, and this has happened before, there's historical precedent for this. Like, there's the age of decadence before the fall of the empires that has repeated this cycle many times throughout history. So this isn't a new thing of, like, modernity. But when you get to a certain point and things become a little bit too good and luxurious, the hard-coded programming is that, and this is technically not incorrect, that the existential dread of a female is orders of magnitude worse than that of a male throughout humanity's entire primordial history. So when you reach this strange point to juncture in history where you're all in the lap of luxury, that programming is so deep-seated that it just keeps running, but because it's not running against everything, because everything is, like, so artificially elevated, it just metamorphoses into this transcendental form of bitching.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up, because I think that there's this sense of being a dude, right? Where I don't know how, like, I guess maybe every dude, like, reaches this point in his own way, but every dude realizes that his life is not that important. Like, it's the trope, right, where the male is willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good or whatever, or to save his family, or to save his children, right? The male is willing to sacrifice his life, right? And I think any mature male understands that in a certain scenario, one must be willing to sacrifice his life for something that is more important than him. And this is something that is like, it sounds like it's kind of like awful, right? Just knowing that, like, yeah, you could die, but there's also a freeing component of that. The idea that actually, you know, one's life is forfeit to the machinations of nature, and therefore you're kind of free to do what you want to do, right? Like, it's like the Fight Club thing. Losing all hope is freedom. That is fundamentally kind of like a male thing, and it allows males to just not give as much of a shit about things. And fucking A, I do like being a male for that aspect, you know?
And that's why the apex of modern, like, heroes is Deadpool.
Because he can continuously die.
He's basically invulnerable, and he could die over and over, and he just doesn't give a shit. Like, he will kill his enemies in the most gruesome and horrific ways and laugh about it.
Or, on the flip side, Batman is the apex of modern heroes because he specifically can die, and he's not invulnerable, but he still makes it through anyway. So actually, if you think about it, Batman is kind of like the inverse of Deadpool.
Well, Batman, like, represents, like, this inner moral struggle that he constantly has, where he's so preoccupied with justice and morality and his code of ethics, his own personal code, that there's a lot of self-imposed limitations that, at the end of the day, it's really just his rules that he's playing by. Because he's an anonymous caped crusader that has more than enough resources to be able to kill people and get away with it, but he doesn't.
I'll tell you what, dude. If I were Batman, I don't think that I would be heralded as a good guy. Like, I think I would just I don't know. If I were Batman, I had all that power, all that wealth, all of that intelligence. I think that I would end up being corrupted, and I think I would end up doing bad things. Like, even if I tried to be a good guy, with all of that fucking power, I think eventually I would be corrupted. And I would be like, oh, yeah, hey, Batman, you want to do some, want to fucking snort some lines of coke off of this hooker's titties? I would probably, the first 7 times, I would say, no, I am Batman. But the 8th time, it would wear me down, and I would go, all right, fuck it, yeah. Well,
it's funny that you brought up Fight Club before, because I was thinking of that from a different angle. It's like, when you reach Fight Club level and that level of fuck it, it actually starts to become a bad thing, and you realize that it's not so much that there's not any men left that would sacrifice for things. It's just all of them had made the sum cost analysis, and they're thinking to themselves like, okay, what would I be sacrificing my life for? Diversity in trans kids and feminism. Fuck you.
We here at the Promethean Tides, we support the trans kids. We don't support kids becoming trans, but we do support the kids who are already trans, hopefully not committing suicide. Anyway, with that, we went through the fucking Biden speech. We will return on Saturday with more news stories. We'll really get into it. Once again, this is the midweek show. It's kind of more, for fun, not as serious.
Yay!
You don't fucking have to listen to it.
And my signal dies half the time anyway, because fuck my life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all those things. But if you are still listening, then hopefully you liked what we had to say, and in that case, we would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. It helps the channel.
Don't forget to ring that bell icon, because every time you ring the bell icon, it puts another $1 billion into the cancer fund.
I wish it did that. I mean, look, I've never in my life rung the bell icon on anyone, even the people that I really like following on YouTube. So I'm not going to ask that of you. No need to ring the fucking bell. Just like and subscribe. We would appreciate it. And with that, we can bring the show to a close. And Breaker?
Come on, man. America, cancer, you know the thing.
You know the thing. Peace out, everyone.